Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dana. I am from Divine Goddess Cards. I'm back with another video for my little series that I'm doing for this art journal. This was the first video. We created 2 pages start to finish in that video, so if you're interested in that, please do check that out. For this video, I'm going to be continuing on and doing the page that's going to lay over this one. And for that, I'm going to use the clear sheets that come with the 6x6 journal, which are these. Of course, you know, they're clear, so it's kind of hard to see on camera, but that's what we're going to be using for those. And then for this, I just went ahead and grabbed my big stamping platform. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping here. And the set that I'm going to be using is this one. This is from Sizzix and Kerr. It's called The Visitor. The number on this one is 666758. And of course that will be linked in the description box. And I'm just going to use the floral corner for this one. And I actually put down the wrong page here. Okay, so I want to do that one. I got ahead of myself, so let me remove this. And then line this one up. And I'm doing this on the back, technically, of these 2 pages. Because in the first video I explained I want the middle to essentially be the focal point for this book. And then I do want to line it up. And I'm going to put the stamping in this corner and then this top corner. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to kind of see where we're at and where we're going here. And I don't want to cover too much. I'm going to pull that down just a little, I think. Okay, and then while that's on there, go ahead and stick the stamp to the door. And just peel off my page that might stick, which is totally fine. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink up the stamp in my clear embossing ink. You can emboss with pretty much anything that's wet. If you wanted to, you could even emboss with water. You're just going to have to work quickly because once whatever you use to adhere the embossing powder, once that dries, once you when you go to heat it up, the embossing powder is just going to blow everywhere. So you just want to work while it's wet. And then I also like to take a powder tool, especially when I'm doing this on something that has a lot of static, and then just go over so then my embossing powder is not going to stick where I don't want it. And this is just a powder tool. You could, if you don't have one, you could use a bit of cornstarch on a makeup brush would also work. So I'm just going to stamp that down, give it good pressure everywhere. And then I can see the shine just to make sure I got everything good and covered, which it looks like I did. So I'm going to pull this out. Move my stamping platform. And then I'm just going to be using a white embossing powder for this. Any embossing powder would work. I'm just going to sprinkle that over the stamping. Give it a good tap. And then I'm going to clean up this embossing powder immediately because I can't tell you how many times I've ended up with my little catch paper on the floor or in my lap. And then for the same reason, close the lid. And then if you have any embossing powder where you don't want it, you can just take a dry paintbrush and just kind of sweep it off. For this project, I'm not terribly concerned if there's little speckly bits in other places. It'll just kind of give it a cool look. Then off camera, you want to heat up your heat tool and then melt the embossing powder. Now when you're doing that, especially on the clear Duralar or even the matte Duralar, you want to make sure that you are moving your heat tool around. If you let it sit in one spot, you do run the risk of potentially melting or warping this. So just make sure that you're keeping everything moving. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing in the top corner. Put that in there. I am going to wipe off my stamp just because there's probably still some of that embossing ink on it. And when I line it up, I don't want to get it everywhere. Okay, so then again, we're going to be up in this corner here. Make sure we're straight-ish. Okay, I like that. It doesn't cover up too much of her. So again, I'm going to grab my lid or door or whatever you want to refer to that bit as. Go ahead and ink that up. And then go in with my powder tool. Okay, so let me just show you here. So this so far is kind of what we're working with. So you see how the two pages work together? There's going to be more added to this, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this other page. So the stamping is going to be here and here. I had to get my brain working there for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back for the next step. Okay, so I have both top pages stamped and embossed, so this is where we're at so far. So now I want to add just a bit of color, a bit of shading, just to give a little something to the top pages here. And to do that, I'm going to do some distress crayons. And the colors I'm going to use are Lost Shadow, Hickory Smoke, and then Black Soot. So I'm going to start with my lightest color here, and I'm going to do the Lost Shadow. And if you're unfamiliar with distress crayons, they're real easy to use. Since we're doing this on a non-porous surface, if you don't like what you've added, you can always remove some. And what I like to do is I like to just go in and scribble on. Oh, forgive me, I had to sneeze there. I just like to scribble on a little bit, and then I go in and kind of mush it around with my finger. Now this is going to be hard to see on camera just because it is a very, very light color. But what I'm going for here is I want the gray, the light gray to, or the white to fade out to the light gray to eventually fade into the black is kind of what I'm going for here. I'm going to do that on both pages before I switch colors, just so I don't have to continuously clean off my finger. Which this will just clean off with a baby wipe, so it's not that big a deal. Now I'm going to go in with the hickory smoke. This, the camera should pick up a lot better. I'm going to extend this out even past where the stamping is. Then I'm going to rub it and take it just about halfway up my stamping. Again, if you get too much in some places, just take something wet, even like a damp paper towel or a slightly damp paintbrush if it's just a little spot, and it'll come right up for you. There we go. And I'm going to do the hickory smoke on this one as well. You wouldn't have to do this in the black and white. You could always go in with the same colors that we used on the first pages. They do make distress crayons in those colors as well, if you wanted. And then you don't even have to do this with a distress crayon. You could go in with an acrylic paint or something like that. That would work also. Just looking to add a little bit of something to this page. There we go. And then finally, I'm going to go in with the black. And this one I'm not going to do as far out or as far up. I still want to get that fade as much as possible. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to clean up a bit. And as you can see on this one, I got a little messy. I've got fingerprints in places I don't want it. So I'm just going to find a semi-clean spot on my baby wipe and just give that a rub. I'll even do it on the back as well. And I'm going to put it on a piece of paper since my surface is wet. There we go. That's all cleaned up. Set that aside to dry, and then this one could use a little bit as well. Go. Set that aside to dry. So while those are drying, I'm going to go ahead and create some embellishments for the top of the page. To make these embellishments, I printed out these onto the computer graphics. This is the matte film for inkjet. This is the non-adhesive back one. You could always get the adhesive back one if you would like, but I'm going to be layering these, and I wanted to keep them dimensional, so I didn't choose to do the adhesive backed one. And for the magic of TV or YouTube, I already have some cut here. So I'm going to show you how I shaped this one. So the back one I want to leave flat so that I can put adhesive all over the back of that and it'll just stick to the page. But the rest of them I wanted to give a little bit of dimension, and it's really, really, really easy with this computer graphics film. All you do is, I like to take my reverse tweezers, I call them squeezers, and I'm just going to fold it up, fold the wing up, back on itself, kind of give it a little bit of a crease. Move the squeezers over to the other wing, do the same thing, and give it a little bit of a crease. And there we go. Now we got a flying butterfly there. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other layers. For this in particular printable, it's from House Whimsy, and there is 4 layers to each one. And then last one here. Okay. And then to adhere these, I'm going to grab a bit of the Artist-Tac, and I'm just going to cut off some of it so again I don't stick my arm in it, because we don't need a whole lot. Okay, so then to add the adhesive, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold my butterfly in half, and I am going to take it and I'm just going to set it on the Artist-Tac, take my squeezers, give it a little bit of a rub just to make sure there's some dots on there, and then peel it off and then line it up with the next layer, which I want to be this one. So I'm probably going to get my head in the way here, but I want to make sure that everything is lined up. Now with the Artist-Tac, you do have a little bit of wiggle room. It is not going to be permanent until you either squeeze it like I am or actually rub it. There we go. Then I'm going to grab the whole thing and do the same thing. Put that down. Give it a little bit of tap with the squeezers. Peel it off. Grab my third layer and line it up. Now, depending on how good you are at fussy cutting, these may not line up exactly, but that's fine. There we go. And then one last time, we're going to do that again. And pat ourselves on the back that we have not stuck our arm in the Artist-Tac yet. Peel that off. There wasn't a whole lot on that area, so let's do some over here. There we go. And then I'm going to line that up. And then I'm just going to kind of reform the wings just a skosh on the top one. And there we go. Now we have a fun 3D butterfly. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with this one, and I'll be right back. And then to adhere them on the project, I'm just going to take the rest of the Artist-Tac, stick the whole butterfly on here, and then give it a rub. If it doesn't cover the entire back of it, that's fine. As long as it's mostly covered. Now what I'm going to do, so I've got my other pages lined up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the butterflies over their eyes. There we go. And do the same thing with this one. Peel that off. And there we go. And see where I'm going? How fun is that? Okay, so now let's get this out of the way. And then for one final step here, I just want to add just a bit of black splatter. So I'm just going to water down some black acrylic. Again, this is Distress. You don't need to use Distress if you don't want to, or if you don't have it, but it's what I have. Just going to add a few there, a few there, a few there, a few there. So this kind of looks like a butterfly trail, almost. Yeah, there we go. Okay, then once more, let's line everything up very carefully since we're dealing with wet paint. And once everything dries, I'll do my best to flatten out these sheets a little bit because they did get a little warpy since we heated them. That's okay. So there we go. There's where we're at so far. So the next video that I'm going to be doing is the page behind this. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining me today for this project. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do consider subscribing to the GrafixArts channel. And then again, I can be found over on Divine Goddess Cards. I also have a YouTube channel. And I will see you in the next one.